Happy Hour is presented by Grey Goose. Drink responsibly.
Our Masters preview. And here is an around the horn movement that Jon Rahm start 2 under for this shot in his practice round. And that's amazing. He should get credit for that. Whether Shambo's science experiment can solve Augusta. And if you were redrafting quarterbacks, would you still go Burrow to a Herbert? Let's go.
Everybody loves a good redraft.
Is it crazy to bring up the idea of taking a quarterback with the third pick or the second pick if you may have it?
Yes. You asked me if it's crazy to bring the idea up, and I'm answering you, yes. We're playing games here, guys, but it's not the thing to be talking about at all. You know, Dak is our quarterback.
It is the thing we're talking about right now. Mina Kimes around the horn to you. How do you hear Jerry Jones there?
I don't hear anything. Those were, you can just take that quote and throw it in the trash because it doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Right now, Dallas is slated to pick third, and we can talk about what that means because it has massive ramifications for the future of the franchise if they're picking near the top of the draft. I believe, personally, if they're picking third, they should stick with Dak, potentially trade down if another team wants to trade up and take a quarterback there, because after Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, you're just praying that whatever quarterback you take in the draft even comes close to Dak Prescott. It's too risky. It's a franchise that has had a lot of difficulty finding quarterbacks, by the way. They lucked into Dak Prescott. Now, if they pick first or second, that's when it gets a little bit more interesting, right? Because those quarterbacks are very good. You'd have them on a rookie deal. That's very alluring. My feeling is that if the Cowboys can extend Dak on a reasonable deal and get a massive haul of picks, that's something they should consider instead of taking Fields or Lawrence. But after first or second, they're sticking with Dak.
Mr. Woody Page, how did you hear Jerry Jones there?
Mina must not have been around when they made that deal involving Herschel Walker. That's not happening again in the Cowboys franchise history. But if they did get the first or second pick, I think that they should consider that possibility of moving on because they're going to have to, with Dak coming back from a horrific injury and a guy that's going to get paid just, $250 million like Patrick Mahomes, you're going to have to end up paying him. That I think that it's a possibility that if you could get Fields or if you get Lawrence, you'd make the move. I mean, you got to remember in Jerry Jones' history, though, he wanted to draft Paxton Lynch. That's what he wanted, and he ended up with Dak Prescott, who just fell into his lap. So I don't think it's so crazy that the question should be asked.
Israel Gutierrez, how did you hear Jerry Jones there?
I think you might have shorted Patrick Mahomes by about $150 million there. Look, I heard a guy, and I read the great column from Jean-Jacques Taylor in the Dallas Morning News. I read a column, excuse me.
Yeah.
I thought Jerry Jones seemed delusional. I thought he seemed like the leader of a stable franchise that's ready to win a Super Bowl. They are none of those things. They are a franchise that seems to have a lot of holes to fill. And when you're in that situation, what's your options being, hey, let me pay $40 million for this quarterback that we have and see if we can fill the holes around him, or start over with a cheaper quarterback and see what happens. I think they are closer to that, despite the fact they're in this terrible division and despite the fact they were good not too long ago. But you're in a situation where you don't know if Dak Prescott can be the same person next season. And if they do have the 1 or 2 or even the third pick, if Justin Fields falls for them, what falls to that number? What are they calling Justin Fields? A more athletic Dak Prescott. So go get that guy. He's cheaper, more athletic, younger, and then sort of rebuild from there. I don't think it's crazy at all.
Okay, and Frank Isola, how about you?
You know, the Green Bay Packers drafted a quarterback just recently, and their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, isn't recovering from a compound fracture. So how can you be the Cowboys and it's something that you don't consider? If I'm Jerry Jones and you asked me that question today, I'm not going to say, of course we're looking for a quarterback. My poor guy, Dak Prescott, is recovering. I'm not going to make him feel even worse. But you have to be doing the smart thing here. If there's somebody in the draft, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the first round, somebody that you think could lead your franchise, you have to do it. I like Dak Prescott. I think you could win big with him. But remember, he's 1-2 in the playoffs. And last year against Philadelphia, essentially a play-in game, he didn't play well.
And Mina Kimes, something you'd like to add?
Well, to go to the Packers example, there's a very big difference between picking first, second, or third and picking at the end of the draft. Frank, I know you're saying if they're picking later, maybe that's when they would take a quarterback, but we're talking about picking at the top. That would be, frankly, bananas if they play. I don't like that the Packers did it. I don't think it's helping them.
But we've seen bananas
but
get
it doesn't make sense for Dallas.
Pardon taking that out a little bit further. Recently, Arizona drafted a quarterback in the first round one year. The next year they've come back, drafted a quarterback in the first round, and now they're at least slotted for the playoffs. I mean, it didn't bottom the team out either. I mean, crazy things could happen, especially this year more than any other. We're going to move on. News of the day from Carolina. Christian McCaffrey now, a shoulder injury. So he's not expected to play Sunday. Schefter reported he'll be week to week going forward, is getting a second opinion. He's already missed 6 games with an ankle injury, signed for the biggest contract in running back history in April. Frank, you think the Panthers, well, maybe they don't regret the signing, but regret his usage rate, or you think they have no regrets?
That's a good point. They use him so often, especially catching the ball. Whenever I hear that a running back is holding out, it's the one position in sports where I say, yeah, you know what, I would do that too, because your career is so short. And I think for these teams, when you invest in running backs, I mean, who's winning the Super Bowl last year? Kansas City. They won because of their quarterback. All the years that New England won, who was really their running back? It's almost a luxury item for a lot of teams. I don't think you have to break the bank and sign a big-time running back. Where does it really get you?
Is Gutierrez?
I don't think that they're worried about it too much. If you look at his first 3 years, not a bunch of injuries, right? If this is the year where he happens to have a couple and sits out, 8, 9 games, and he recovers next year, fine. I don't think they'd regret it one bit, because he is the primary reason why they're going to win games.
Woody Page?
Yeah, Israel, absolutely correct. I've known him since he was a kid, and I'm telling you what, he's not a luxury item, Frank. He plays wide receiver and running back. He's a returner. He can play quarterback. He plays out of shotgun.
Great.
What
Not
in the world
now.
do you want from a guy? He's very versatile. Well, yeah, he got hurt. It's happened. You've gotten hurt at home in your closet. I think that it's a possibility that this guy works out harder than anybody else during the offseason climbing mountains here in Colorado. It's a rarity. It's not going to happen every year. He's going to be a big asset for them for a long time.
Nina Kimes, you seem a little befuddled by Woody's answer, but just on McCaffrey. If we could bring it back away from the mountains and more to McCaffrey on the football field.
Move the mountain.
Gosh, I feel like I'm always this person, but here's the truth. They've averaged more yards per play when he's not on the field.
Wondering if someone's going to bring that
Their
up.
expected points added per play is basically identical. I'm not saying he doesn't make the team better, but he doesn't make them better enough to have justified the long-term deal, which I didn't like at the time. They're perfectly fine on offense without him, and in fact have actually outperformed.
I want to go back and check the tape on Frank Isola when Saquon Barkley got drafted and headed towards his big deal. Whether you thought,
said that.
Okay, I said I wanted to check the tape.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't need to check the tape. You're telling me.
He's a terrific player, but these guys take such huge hits today. They don't last that long, unfortunately.
Where's Barkley right now? Out for the season. We're going to move on. One more story from the NFL. Offensive Rookie of the Year odds have come in. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and look who's third right now. Tua Tagovailoa, all QBs at the top here. The first-round rookie quarterbacks this year are 5-11-1. I am including Jordan Love in that stat. Israel, if you were redrafting, who would you take first?
I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to say Tua. Why? Because if he wasn't hurt his last year at college, he would have been the #1 pick. And based on some of the things you're seeing early on, he looks like he could still have that athleticism. His accuracy is there, and he's more mobile than, he's not Kyler Murray out there, but he's close. And I think that combination is a great package. I'd take
Nina Kimes?
There is a statistic I love called completion percentage over expectation. Next Gen Stat looks at what a quarterback should be achieving and how much he's overachieving. Number 1 is Russell Wilson. Number 2 is Joe Burrow right now. He's my guy. They're all awesome. They look incredible, but Burrow's been so consistently good.
Woody Page?
As a lifetime underachiever, Mina, I think I can deal with this better than you can. And dare I say, Justin Herbert. You're looking at a guy at the end of the year. Mina, you want to cite statistics? He didn't play the first game. He's going to end up with 4,000 yards and almost 40 touchdowns. You don't think that's the most impressive rookie among those three? I think he's going to have the biggest upside of all three of them, and I would have taken him #1, given the chance. I think we downgraded him because of the last year he had at Oregon, but this guy's proving that he is going to be a great quarterback. Reminds me of Peyton Manning somewhat.
All right, so there we go. We've got 3 different drafts right now. go. Frank Isola, I guess you're going to tip this one way or the other. If you were redrafting the quarterback,
I'm going to go with Yep. I'm going to go with Madame Football as well. I'm going Joe Burrow still. Think about it, Tony.
My guy.
Tua walked into a good situation. Herbert walked into a pretty good situation. They just can't hold, they blow games in the final seconds. Joe Burrow walked into a losing team. If Tua walked into that team, Justin Herbert, I think they would be struggling. He's still the best player. He won in college. He'll win in the NFL.
What do you want? You want back at Frank because he said the Chargers was a pretty good situation?
Yeah, Frank, he said Herbert walks into a situation where they lose every game by 3, 4, or 5 points. They've had 6 in a row.
In the games.
At the end,
they should
that's
win
not
those
his fault.
games.
That's the defense. It's no good.
Israel, last word for you.
No, I don't really have a last word on this topic. I just feel really bad. It really hurts my heart when I'm making an NFL analysis and I see Mina laughing because I know she's just going to.
I know, but Mina, you recognize you were celebrating Frank agreeing with you. You sure you want to agree on something with Frank? Are you absolutely sure about that? The Jets, the Giants. Actually, now that I'm thinking about this, let's make this a little bit closer. All right. Taking a break here. Coming up in Bobby Sal, we're going to talk about Manager of the Year. Kevin Cash is taking the award in the American League. We'll see how that sits with you after the World Series. But in the National League, did anybody see who won it? Don Mattingly, which makes him the second member of the Springfield Nine to win it. Mike Scioscia won it back in 02 and 09. Yes.
Be slower, and the Greens are going to be slower. And DeChambeau is not going to have a chance of winning because he thinks he's going to make the course smaller. He is not that great a putter, doesn't have a great short game. That's going to make a difference for him. He can't win.
So you answered every question. That is a full preview from Woody Page. Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, co-favorites. Then John Rahm surging after that practice shot, and Rory McIlroy. Mina? DeChambeau's teasing us with a 48-inch driver and the plan to solve Augusta with science. Are you buying that?
Not really. I mean, as a fan of cutting corners in general and a fan of pretty much everything that Bryson DeChambeau is doing because it's interesting and weird, I'm rooting for him. But I think Woody has a good point about the course, in particular the greens and how they roll differently, and I think that's going to challenge him this time around. Oh, Woody gets the point.
Well, in 2 segments now, you've agreed with Isola and Woody Page. I'm really questioning you right now.
Weird.
Israel Gutierrez?
I mean, people were wondering what he could do at the U.S. Open, and he won that by 6 strokes. I think it's just ridiculously intriguing. The guy is trying to do things that nobody else does. If he masters this, no pun intended, actually, if he masters this, he's going to be the next, the big thing in golf, and it's going to be amazing to watch all the time. So I'm cheering for it. Will it happen here? I don't know, but I want to see him keep at this for every single major.
Right, guys. Sola?
Yeah, if you remove Tiger Woods from the equation, he really is the big name, the big story going into this. But Tony, 3 previous appearances, his highest finish was 21st, and then he was an amateur at that point. Yes, he hits the ball long, but with the rain, as Woody talked about, and he's not a great putter. I don't think the course is built for him.
Woody, the only human who can look at the weather forecast, Woody Page. Why is everybody giving Woody points today? You want him to get to?
He wants to be the weather
35 points, so he doesn't have a recap. All right, 1 sentence or less. Who are you picking and why, Woody Page?
Rory McIlroy has changed his grip and release point.
So you got Rory McIlroy because he's going to keep it on the course. Israel Gutierrez, how about you?
DeChambeau figures it out. I've got him winning it.
Oh. Dustin Johnson finished tied for second last year. He'll break through and he'll be
Kimes?
I'm rolling with Rahm because he's been great since the restart. And did you see that one? I mean, clearly magic is on his side.
Can we give him like a second green jacket just for doing that? That's the most amazing shot I've ever seen. We'll move on. NBA free agency is 9 days away. Is there even enough time for these Harden, Westbrook, and Paul rumors to maximize mayhem? Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns reportedly having interest in him. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and reportedly not sure about the future direction of Houston. Frank, which report is likely to make the bigger impact on the NBA this season?
Well, it definitely could be the Rockets if they decide to break up that team. But I will say this about Chris Paul going to Phoenix. He can do for the Suns what he did for Oklahoma City. You take a young team, you provide leadership, toughness, and they can get into the playoffs. That would be a great move with DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker.
But you like that. That makes sense to you. How about you, Mina Kimes?
I also like it. Breaking up the Rockets is the bigger story, but Paul going to Phoenix turns them into a contender. I think both sides saw what happened in the bubble, and they liked it. Devin Booker's a superstar. He brings the veteran experience. That's a really good team.
Woody Page?
I think it's going to be about Westbrook, and I think he's going to end up with Frank in New York. They're going to subscribe together.
That is a very Nick move.
I will quote J.A. Adondi that if you want to be the man that he does, you need to be in a place where you can be the man, and that's not in Houston.
Israel Gutierrez?
I think James Harden deserves some continuity with teammates. I mean, we know he gets along with Russell Westbrook and they're tight, and I think that's sort of why they're voicing this, because it's just like, why break us apart? We like each other. Maybe put the pieces around us a little bit differently with a different coach and make that work, but stop with the constant turnover. I can't keep doing it.
Yeah, where's the smoke coming from here, Frank? First report was that Harden and Westbrook helped choose Stephen Silas as head coach just last week.
Yeah, and I really think what they're doing a huge disservice to Stephen Silas. You finally get this job, and now you have all this stuff out there. To me, it comes across like one of them, or probably both of them, doesn't want to be there. Maybe they think it's a rebuild, but I got to be honest with you. If I'm Houston, the way the Western Conference is, it's time to start all over again. Trade them now. Westbrook's going to be 32 tomorrow. Harden's 31 right now.
Buy or sell 3 baseball managers of the year. Don Mattingly, after the job he did with the Marlins. I brought that up before. No one even reacted to Homer at the bat, one of the greatest Simpsons episodes. You had no idea what I'm talking about. Mutes for all you people. Also, Kevin Cash for Tampa. How that looks. Cash winning after the World Series may or may not have come down to him pulling Blake Snell in Game 6. Buy or sell, Israel?
Well, I'm going to buy it. I know it looks bad because of the Snell pull in the World Series, but it just confirms it was a 60-game sample size. He made all the right decisions, or close to all the right decisions in that span. One game isn't going to change that.
Isola?
That's why you like it when the managers every once in a while trust their instincts. Blake Snell should have stayed in that game, but guess what? It's a regular season award. Have at it.
Kimes?
It's just another piece of evidence, and this is true for the NBA as well, that they need to hand out this award earlier so we don't have these discussions. It's a regular season award. Hand it out after the regular season.
Woody Page?
Snell, smell, sell. It's what you've done for us lately, and what we will remember is what he did to lose the World Series.
All right, Woody Page, getting to 35 points in the show.
Yes!
Wow. Gutierrez, Isola, taking a back seat for a Mina Kimes, Woody Page showdown. Old school and new school in 2 minutes.
I'm old school.
What is our school?
Woody. Tonight's Cy Young Awards, Shane Bieber might be unanimous in the American League. The NL has a race, though. It's between Yu Darvish, Jacob deGrom, Trevor Bauer. Mina, who you got?
DeGrom has the best hair, Darvish has the best Twitter presence, but Bauer deserves the Cy Young. Statistically, he is the winner.
Yeah, he's got the predominant personality. It was the preeminent pitcher this year, but I'm going with DeGrom. I mean, to have the continuity he's had over the last 3 years, he deserves it again.
It is a one-year award. Point me to Kimes. We'll move on. Showdown 2, midweek film sessions around the league. None will be more fun than Indy. Phillip Rivers, the Armadillo. Quick turnaround for the Colts. Titans tomorrow night. Who's the better AFC South team, Woody Page?
I'm going with Tennessee. They've proven it going back to last year, and Indianapolis has disappointed me, particularly last weekend with that picture you showed of Rivers lying on the ground.
Me to Kimes.
I'm going with Indianapolis. They're the more balanced team. They've got one of the best defenses in the league, and Phil Rivers plays well when he's not pressured. The Titans haven't been able to get a pass rush.
He's under pressure all the time.
We'll see how Mina plays with pressure. It's 1-1 going into Showdown 3. Just when it looked like it couldn't get worse for the Jets, roll tape.
Oh, boy.
Bill Belichick said on radio yesterday that leaving the Jets was one of the greatest moments of his career. Mina, fair or foul insult?
Oh, man, I forgot about those bangs, so that was foul. But I think it's fair
come
because it's accurate. It's accurate. It was the
Woody?
best decision of his career. You can't deny it.
Well, it's fair because we're seeing a new side of Bill Belichick, which may indicate he's on the way out because he picked on his team recently. Now he's all over the Jets. I like Bill. Right. He's saying hello as he's saying goodbye.
And I like Woody Page today. 30 seconds of FaceTime, Mr. Dro.
We certainly want to salute the military today on Veterans Day, and I want to hold up a telephone number, and everybody look at this, because if you're having mental health problems, particularly in the military, in 2019, 25.9 out of 100,000 military have committed suicide. They have done more than sacrifice in the military. They continue to sacrifice after they get out, and it's a program that both Tony and I are very strongly about. Let's please help the military, not only for their sacrifice, but for their mental health problems. Please call this number.
Thank you so much for that, Woody Page, acknowledging our veterans and our veterans in crisis. I'd like to acknowledge Pete Kimes, Mina's father of the Air Force. And we also have family members like Uncle John, Frank's uncle, who sacrificed for this country. Thank you all, veterans. We're off tomorrow and Friday. See you Monday.
Happy Hour is presented by Grey Goose. Drink responsibly.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Frank Isola, in for Mike Wilbon, who's taking the day off.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. He deserves it. He's had a tough 2-day week. Come on. He's out
ready
playing
for a big
golf.
football game. Yeah, you're right.
No, I mean, he's going to say I'm on assignment, and the assignment is a 12:23 tee time, West Coast time, right? I mean, who is kidding who about this?
Or he's
we
scouting
are
for
not kidding
Northwestern.
each other about this.
No.
Yes, which they need in Arizona, I'm sure. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Rockets have issues. Chris Paul may have a new team, and Steve Cohen